Today we're going to be diving into the key factors of making pain beats, covering the emotional melodies and vocal lines that we hear in today's production for artists like Rod Wave and Lil Durk. These beats are soulful, these beats are spacious, but these beats have hard-hitting drums and 808s. The main foundation for this sound is going to be the piano. You want to make sure you choose a high-quality piano VST or record a real piano that you have. I don't have one, so I'm going to be using Keyscape. Kontakt also has great pianos and great third-party pianos that you can get for it. You're going to want to focus on working with bigger chords like 7th and 9th chords and definitely adding a lot of inversions. Velocity and not having everything locked directly on the grid is gonna be key for getting these melodies to sound organic and real. Let's start off with the C sharp minor triad. So all we need to do is put a note on C sharp and skip every other note. Now we have C sharp minor. Now we're going to add the 7th to it. So all we need to do is skip another note in the scale and drop a note there. And now we have a C sharp minor 7th chord. So the first thing that I like to do is actually invert this second note of the chord up 1 octave. So all I'm going to do is hold Control up arrow. And then what we can do is also invert this B. And you'll see we're starting to get a chord structure that we have over here. So since I actually played this chord progression on the MIDI piano, I'm just going to show you ways that you could do this with the mouse and keyboard. So all we need to do is actually take a couple of notes and bring them in. So all we need to do is take this G sharp, we can move it in over 2 steps, right? If we are in cell, and then we take the B and we move it over 4 steps, and now we get something like this. I want to add in 2 passing notes right here. So now let's build out the next chord. Let's go ahead and drop down to B, and then we can skip every other note. And what I'm actually going to do is flatten this A down to a G sharp. And then again, I'm going to take this note and I'm going to bring it up an octave. And I'm also going to take this F and I'm going to bring it up an octave. I'm going to take the G sharp, move it over. I'm also going to take the F sharp, move it over to where the G sharp is, and then one more over, which is going to give us like an interesting bounce. And then we could probably place a note right here on E. And then we do more passing notes to get into the next chord. And that's how you can kind of start to create like a nice rhythm and a nice chord progression for this. For the effects, you just want to create a spacious environment for your piano. This can easily be achieved with a nice reverb. Next, you're going to need a nice melody that complements the main chord progression. One key takeaway is looking for those spaces and those pockets in the chord progression you created where your melody can kind of just smoothly go in and out of those pockets and just add to the chord progression. Let me show you what I mean. So you really want to pay attention to pockets, and you really want to pay attention to what you played before, and also not having it be too predictable. This half and this half are not the same. Even when we talk about the rhythm of this half, this has a lot of notes that is held out, and over here a lot of shorter notes and a little bit of a quicker melody. Super important when you're adding melody to these types of chord progressions. What I actually did, and what I like to do sometimes, is change the piano preset. So I went into Keyscape. The first one was on cinematic. This one is actually on softest. To add more realism to our sample, we can use a bass guitar to fill out that low end. I like this bass from Native Instruments along with these settings. A great pain beat cannot be great without one thing, and that's the vocals. For this, you can reach for vocal chops off Splice, Arcade, the Vocal Runs VST, and a bunch of other places. I chose to go with Arcade for this. If you want to try a free trial of it, I have a link down below. It is an affiliate link. Shout out to Output for that. The EQ is going to tuck the vocal back, leaving room for the artist later on, and the reverb is going to create an amazing space for the vocal to just sit with the melodies. Lastly, you're going to want a nice guitar lick to just complement everything. I used a mixture of Electric Sunburst by Native Instruments as well as a guitar melody that I found on Splice. Moving on to the drums, you're gonna wanna make sure that you choose the right sound selection for this and make sure that your drums have a nice crispy high end to them so they can cut through the mix. Most of the sounds I chose for this beat are from my Resupply drum kit, so I'll leave a link in the description if you wanna check it out. I personally like to start with my hi-hats and then the clap or the snare, whichever one I'm using, to really just get the rhythm and the bounce going for the drums so I know what I wanna lay down next. And then finally, I like to end it with the 808. So once you have your two-step going with your hi-hat, all you need to do is go over here and you can choose between 1/3 and 1/6. It's definitely going to be my favorite. You hit 1/3 right here, we get the paint tool, and then you just add in little rolls where you think they would sound good. Some key parts to place rolls is definitely going to be before claps or after claps, always a good spot. Then you can also find spots where you can put a couple notes that are very low. So adding those in between also is some ear candy. And then of course you can add hi-hats that just have that nice fall down effect. For the 808, you're gonna wanna choose an 808 that is shorter and really punchy. Since I'm not using a kick in this beat, I made sure to choose an 808 that was really punchy and is gonna be able to stand out. Now put it all together and we get this.